2nd of February 2024. It's about 10 a.m. How are you doing? Oh. Midnight Tally Man, Patrick. How are you doing? There might be a bit more gusto in this. Gusto, there's a word for you. Let me just change this because I brought the fresh one down. I think that's a bit better. That's a bit better, I think. Patrick, how are you doing? A generation of men who can't cook. How the hell did that happen? It's been on my, it was on my mind a while ago. It's been on my mind for 1 or 2 days. A generation of men who can't cook. How did that happen? How did that come to be? Now, I'm Generation X. I can cook. But I didn't always know how to. Now, there are some men, there are some guys out there who cannot cook, who don't know how to use a stove, and it's like, how is that possible? I mean, how did that come to be? And there's men out there, there's guys out there who would be between 30 years of age and 50 years of age, who don't know how to use a stove, who rely on the local takeaway store down the road, who rely on their woman to cook for them, it's to me the idea is preposterous. It's ridiculous. I find it find it difficult to fathom. Now, a generation of guys who can't cook. My friend Peter, who I've known since 1992, and what happened was, in about the year 2001, he went away travelling for about 6 days, and he lived at Rushcutters Bay at the time, just down from the main street of the Cross, 3 blocks down. It was a corner apartment building. Anyway, I house sitted for him while he had to travel, and he didn't really leave me any real instructions or anything. But I went to use, the first day I was there, I went to use his stove. And it wouldn't turn on. I thought there was something wrong with it. Anyway, he gets back and I said, I went to use your stove, and he said, I hope it's not turned on. I went, in what sense? He said, it's not turned on. I said, how do you cook? He said, I don't. I'm like, what do you mean? I said, he said, I can't cook. I said, what do you mean you can't cook? He said, don't know how to. I have never bothered to have the stove turned on, the electricity turned on for the stove. I'm like, wow. Oh, I'm like, okay. So I said, how do you get by? He said, takeaway up the road. I'm like, but not every day. Like, yep, every day takeaway. It's like, oh. Even David, my friend David, who knows Peter very well. David, I said, do you know Peter can't cook? And he said, oh, well. He said, I've kind of figured it out. I said, that can't be healthy living. And David said, I said to Peter, you can take away every day, like takeaway. He's like, yep, so I live on takeaway every day. And I'm like, that cannot be healthy. I'm like, you turn the stove on. Like the most basic thing would be eggs, putting bread in the toaster, not putting toast in the toaster, but putting bread in the toaster. And by the way, that light is on there, but you can't see it because I've got a blanket here. But I'm gonna get a newer light and put it just here. I just haven't gotten around to it yet because I decided I was going to do that last week. I digress. Now, put a pan on the stove, get a couple of eggs, break the eggs, put the eggs in the fry pan, right? And put them in. Basic egg on toast. You can buy cabanossi or meat from I'm talking about the most basic thing here. I mean, there's 2-minute noodles. I'm talking basics, very basics, but I said to Peter, like, how do you take away every day? It's like take away every day is about 4 stores up the road, and I get a mixture of those during the week. I get, but I said, like, for always, like, this way he said, can't cook. That's what I do. Oh man, I can't. I actually find this really difficult to comprehend. It can't be a healthy living. Like, it can't be healthy to get by like that. Can't cook. How is it that the generation of and because their mother has cooked for them or their father has cooked, and usually within the household during the 80s and the 90s, usually the mum will have done a majority of the cooking, depending. I don't know what the statistics are, because my mum and dad can cook. Mum does not like cooking, but my dad learned to cook in the Air Force. Dad learned to cook in the Air Force. He can cook anything. And mum cooked. Okay, mum did a lot of cooking over the years. Dad did half the cooking, also almost an equal amount. Mum doesn't like to cook at all. Doesn't like it. She's reasonable, but she doesn't like it. Dad's the cook. Dad, as I said, Dad learned to cook in the Air Force. And and what I was going to say was, in a majority of households in the 1980s and 1990s, I think, well, most of the mums did the cooking. The generation of baby boomers, most of the mums cooked. So, 2001, my friend David, he said, Pat, got a bit of an opportunity for you. Look, he said, he was travelling somewhere or going to live with his girlfriend for a while. I can't remember which one it was. Maybe he was just having a trial run of living with his girlfriend at the time. They wanted to see if they could live together. Anyway, and he lived at Glebe, and he said, Pat, how would you like to stay at my place for 6 days? And just look after it. So what happened? I did that. I went to Glebe. I did house sit for David. Now, at that point, I hadn't cooked for myself properly, because Mum would always cook for me. I was good at making sandwiches. I think I could cook an egg at that point and make sandwiches. Anyway, I went to David's place, and I got hungry. And I'm like, I'm hungry. I looked at the stove, and at that point, I would say that I hadn't used the stove. And I'm like, oh, the stove. I thought I should learn how to use it. I think I should try to figure this out. So I went to the local supermarket. I bought a couple of groceries. Went back to David's place. It was a 1-bedroom flat at Glebe, and even you've got the Great Britain Hotel in the corner, and directly opposite is a park. Well, there's a set of apartment buildings just there, behind some trees, and that's where he lived. He lived there in 2000. He left there by 2002, but for that period of time, he did live there. And it was a 1-bedroom unit, very bloody expensive, really expensive. And so what happened? I got myself some groceries, and I went back. I taught myself how to cook in the space of a couple of hours, or in the space of a few days. I taught myself how to cook, because I was like, oh, Mum's not here to cook for me. He had some pots and pans. Oh, by the way, I should say that David is a very good cook. David is a very good cook. I lived with David in 2008 at Maryland's, and he had a whole bunch of recipes, and we didn't get any takeaway. He did a lot of it. He was very proud that he was able to cook and had these recipes. He'd go off the actual. I don't go off the actual recipe, but because I don't follow instructions. So while living with David, he'd cook most nights. He'd go to the Woolworths. He'd get all the groceries. I'd pitch in, and he'd cook. Anyway, I'm at David's place, right? And I taught myself how to cook. I didn't know how to, but I taught myself how to cook. I thought, if I don't cook, I'm going to perish. So I started off with all the basics, just all the basics: eggs, spaghetti, just basic things. Taught myself how to do it. And within the space of about 6 days, I could cook. So when I went back to mum and dad's, when I went back home, I started to cook for myself. And can't remember what my mum's reaction was. She said, "Oh, you're using the kitchen now." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I learned how. I just had to get by at David's," and so from about the year 2000 onwards, I started cooking for myself and got better and better at it. So I can cook. I'm very good at it. I am very good at it. I can cook most things. Michelle is an excellent cook. Michelle's probably a bit better than me in the sense that she's very, very into, when she cooks, she likes to put it together in a particular way, present it in a particular way. And also that I can't cook almost anything, but I can cook most things. I bought a ton of groceries from Woolworths. If I bought a ton of groceries from the supermarket, I can cook it up. I can cook steak, I can cook salmon, I can do spaghetti bolognese. My thing to do, if I find a whole bunch of vegetables and things like that in the fridge, I can cook up a storm. I can do that. It doesn't take that long to get there to that stage. What it takes is that if you're somewhere and you're far away from a person who's usually cooking for you, such as mum, and you're in a situation as a working stove and as a supermarket, you'll learn to cook real quick. You'll learn real fast. And it's better than tin spaghetti. It's better than tin spaghetti. Which is not bad, by the way. There's nothing wrong with tin spaghetti. But there's other things. And, do you know what it is? I mean, do you know what it is? How is it that a generation of men can't cook? They cannot ever know how to turn on a stove. I mean, their whole life their mum cooked for them. Maybe their dad, because there are quite a few men out there who can cook, but usually, mostly within the standard household, mum did all the cooking. And but there's quite a few dads out there who can cook. As I said, my dad is an excellent cook, but he was in the Air Force and spent a bit of time in the Air Force in the what was it, 60s, yeah, and he learned his trade in there as well. So, and well, he learned how to be an electrician, refrigeration mechanic, a photographer, and they taught him how to cook. I said, why do you learn how to cook? He said, Air Force taught me. So, but I think generally in society, mum does all the cooking. But how is it that a Greek mum would do all the cooking, but the offspring don't know how to turn on a stove? So therefore, the fast food restaurants end up making a lot of money. But my friend Peter is very, very unhealthy. Very unhealthy. But that's a side issue. That's a side issue. It is. Peter got married years and years ago. Guess who ended up cooking? I think his wife and him are now separated, but it was all on her. Because he doesn't know how to turn on a stove, and he to this day he still can't, and so Bran did all the cooking. And between Michelle and myself, it's balanced out in that way. She just some nights she'll say to me, "Oh, what do you feel like tonight?" And I'm like, she might say to me, "Oh, I'm going to cook tonight," and she'll tell me what she's thinking of, and I'll go whichever's easier. So she'll say, "I feel like doing this. I'm going to do this." Okay. And some nights I'll say, "I'll cook." She's like, "Great too," because I'm tired. So I'll cook. And how often do we get takeaway? 40% of the time. I thought about this already. We take away about 40% of the time. I would say we cook more than we get takeaway. 40% of the time we get takeaway. It's not 50-50, 60, it's 60-40. How did that happen? I can't fathom it. If there's a stove and there's usually a grocery store within your 5 kilometre vicinity, okay? There's usually a Woolworths. I'm not a fan of colours. There's usually a Woolworths. So how does that work out? I visit someone, and you know, and they're like, stove doesn't turn on, it's not working, can't cook. I'd get home from the townie. I'd get home right from being out on a big night in the town, and between 2000 and 2002 or 2000 2003, you know, the wild party days, and I'd get home, and I'd cook at 4 a.m. in the morning because Mum would say, "You got the last night rider home. You got the 3:40 night rider. You got 3:40 night rider, and you got in at 4 or 4:15." And she said, "You cooked," and he went to bed. That's right, because there was a kebab guy at Newtown Station. There used to be a kebab guy at Newtown Station in about the year 2000, and I got annoyed with him one night because it was like, I'm fully reliant on this guy. Everyone is. And he got really upset that I challenged him. There was choice words between the both of us, and I got really angry with him about something. And I said, you know, at the end of every night, I'm paying you this money, and he's not paying. He's like, oh, fuck off if you don't like it. Anyway, had it out with him, and from then on in, I went home and cooked for myself. Because I don't want to rely on this guy. At the end of it, I'm getting hungry at night at being out of town, and everyone goes to him. I'm like, why should I have to? Why should I? And so I went home and cooked for myself after that. I do get takeaway. There's a fantastic kebab place at Campsie Centre. Beautiful kebabs, probably the best in Sydney. There used to be a fantastic place at Rockdale Station that made beautiful kebabs. They closed down, they went out of business. Campsie, best kebabs. Really good. Sam and Joe. They're brothers. Beautiful kebabs. So, how did we end up like this? How did society end up like that? I'm thinking about all my mates. I'm thinking about all the guys that I know who could cook. Oh, another friend of mine, Michael. I don't see him as often as I should. I've got to make more of an effort to see Michael. I've known him since second class. Actually, of all my mates, Michael, I've known him since second class. I've known Richard since knew him in high school, known him since year 10, became friends, got out of high school, became friends. Richie can cook. I know that Richie can cook. His wife does most of the cooking, but I know that he can cook. Michael, yeah, good cook. Prides himself. He prides himself when he's cooking. He can cook quite well. I know that he can because he will speak about it sometimes. I can't understand when a guy can't cook. I can't understand that because, like, at some point, there's going to be a situation where you're going to need to do that for yourself. And it's not a difficult task. It's not difficult to start off. You just have to start off with the basics. It's really a matter of just figuring it out. Figure it out or perish, or survive on takeaway, and that's not the best option. Yeah. It's surely it's not much. I think, oh, I can't cook. Woman's places in the kitchen. I can't. I'm sure it's not that. Is it? It's not a case of too much testosterone. Or hey, give me a sausage. I'll have a sausage. Do I like cooking? I like cooking in the right kitchen. Our kitchen's it's a bit really old-fashioned. It's not my ideal kitchen. I do enjoy cooking. I enjoy it. Michelle's really good at it. But you give me a bunch of ingredients, I'll cook up a storm for you. Give me a bunch of herbs, or you give me ingredients, I'll cook. But Michelle has a bit more of an extended menu than I do. Is it that the mum always cooked? Is it that the mum always cooked for them, and then when they go out into the external world, they're like, oh, where's the takeaway shop? Where's the takeaway store? How do I get by? Oh, takeaway. Next night, takeaway. What do they do for breakfast? Takeaway. How do you know it's... Because I bumped into a mate of mine at Aldi recently, and he was grocery shopping, so I could only assume that he's a pretty reasonable cook. Who doesn't turn their stove on? I mean, who doesn't know how to turn their stove on? Who? Isn't it a thing that you pick up in your 20s? Isn't it like, okay, I didn't learn to cook until I was 26, okay, about 26, 27, that's however old I was in, I turned 30 in 2003, but I learned to cook in 2000. So I learned to cook in about my late 20s. I learned to cook, but before I could make sandwiches, and all that sort of things. Okay, so I think it's the 2nd of February 2024, and I want to say those things. Yes, some men don't want to or don't know how to turn on the stove. I mean, I think there's some guys out there who are like, no, I can't do it. Go down to the local takeaway. Go down to the local takeaway and I get myself a kebab or a hamburger. My favourite food. I can tell you my least favourite food. Aussie food. My least favourite food. Good old Aussie food. Oh, my least favourite food. Bloody Aussie food. Oh yeah, go on, have a meat pie with tomato sauce. Meat pie with tomato sauce. I shouldn't do that. Meat pie, we might change. Meat pie with tomato sauce, oh yeah. And the typical Australian dinner. Yeah, not into it. Oh yeah, meat pie with tomato sauce, eh? My favourite food, I would say Thai. I love Thai food. Thai, Vietnamese, Chinese. I love my kebabs. I'm talking about takeaway food here, and I love kebabs. They make great pizza, and the best pizza I ever tasted was in Hobart, Liverpool Street in the corner there. Not the best customer service, but a really good pizza. Really best. And I thought they made the best pizza in Enmore, but they actually make the best pizza down in Hobart. Hobart is fantastic pizza. We get takeaway, but we don't rely solely on it. I mean, also bands who travel internationally, they rely on takeaway in a sense. They try to get good quality takeaway. When bands are on tour, they have chefs who cook. They have catering services who cook for them. I've never gone by a cookbook in my life. I'm not great with instructions. I'll improvise with food. I improvise with it. There's if it's there, I'll throw it in. I don't do like 1 cup of this, a quarter of a cup of this, chop 5 of these up. I just go boom. How are the guys surviving in the 21st century? Are they evolving themselves to a status where they might potentially turn on the stove? So, okay, yeah, alright. I have a couple more thoughts on that. And yes, Midnight Charlie Man Patrick, it's the 2nd of February 2024, and it's about 11 something. It's 11 something. Get my goggles on. Hey, oh, get my goggles on. Hey. It's 11:17 p.m. Okay, alright then. Thoughts down below in the comment section.